Hello and welcome to the start of my new series on Gukesh's best wins. This one comes from the 2022 Chennai Olympiad, with India 2 playing against Armenia, with Gabriel Sargissian being one of the players who tend to overperform at the Olympiads actually, where as you can see with the Rogozin system that Black played in this game, he wants to go c5 and try to put a lot of pressure on the c3 knight. So the idea of Gukesh's move of queen a4 is basically to force Black to play knight to c6 so that he can't play the c5 break so easily. And one thing you'll notice this game is that Gukesh is a very dynamic player, very tactical, loves attacking. And Black's setup might look a little bit weird, but he wants to play to move pawn e5 to challenge the white central majority, and also free the bishop on c8. If you're enjoying the video, do make sure to leave a like and also to consider subscribing. That way you're going to be notified when we have more of the videos from this series come out, as it were. Because actually Gukesh played a lot of great games so far, despite only being 17 years old at the time of this video. So yeah, queen to c2 was white's choice. Might seem a bit weird compared to just playing normally of castling short. But Gukesh had a quite interesting idea, where after e5 he released the tension in the center. And now we didn't play the normal knight takes e5 and held Black to develop his bishop more actively. But instead play this bishop e2 retreat, just kind of getting a game, just avoiding too much fury. But also setting up a little bit of a creative idea here, where he met the move of knight takes f3 with not bishop takes, but the more creative g takes f3, opening up the g file for an attack against the black king, really sharpening up the play. So Black in turn is going to try to create counterplay with pawn storm on the queen's side. So clearly a very sharp middle game arising, and it's perhaps best for Black to play some more developing moves first, and only then start pushing the queenside pawns. Because one difference you'll notice after b4, attacking a knight, well, now knight has some more active options, and well done if you realize that the move knight e4 can be played here. This is what happened in the game, where Gukesh took back with the pawn, and is now able to push his two central pawns forward with f4 and e5. And Black now has to be very precise to avoid a very difficult position due to white's initiative. In fact, the lesser evil here is probably to play the move f6 just to stop the move e5, as it's not immediately obvious how to exploit the weakening created around the black king, as it were. Whereas after a5, we now see that white is able to get that space advantage around the king side and also line up a doubling of the rooks to attack the g7 pawn. Black could have anticipated this with a move like g6 here, but in the game he decided to play bishop to a6, asking a valid question of how to deal with the tension between the bishops. In the game, white decided to play rook dg1, setting up a mate threat, so Black plays g6, we have takes, and now a very dynamic move and quite an important one if white wants to fight for an advantage, in the move of f5, which is putting some pressure against the g6 pawn and also preparing moves like e6 to try to lure this f7 pawn out of the way so we can force open the f file. And this sort of game really, I think, shows very well Gukesh's style in that he's very good at setting problems to the opponent, making it difficult for them to find good moves. So Black's clearly under some pressure, and the only move to stay in the game of playing rook c6 and sort of preparing a discovered attack with the rook later. Yeah, it's obviously not the most human approach to the position, but this is what Black had to play to stay in the game. The move he played at bishop a7 just ends up falling a little bit short, where something that's worth noting is that you can actually ignore the move queen e5 here and just play king b1. Because if they do take the pawn, you then have a discovered attack on the queen, and also the g file's opening up next move. So that would have been very, very strong. Of course, Black's not forced to take, but the idea is that e6 will be stronger later. Still, e6 in the game still asks Black some tough questions, and if Black wants to stay in the game here, he basically has to play f takes e6, and then play the move h6, just trying to keep the king side closed at any price. Now even here, White can still play g7 and sack a pawn, but just open up the black king. And it feels like this should just be winning for White somehow with a big attack, but it's surprisingly hard to put Black away. Like queen g6 looks winning at first, but Black can actually play a move like queen f7 and, somehow everything is actually holding because, yeah, a lot of times you can just trade off the queens and try to survive in that way. But yeah, in the game, Black, I think the player's already short on time if I remember it correctly. And yeah, king h8. was admittedly not the answer. His prophylaxis falls a little bit short after white's move of king to b1, which is getting out of the way of any attack on the c-file and ensures that white will be the one in control here. Again, fe6, fg6 is just ripping open the black king by force. You can't really do this. Black plays a move gf5 instead, hoping to try and win a pawn in this sort of way, but this has a few problems, and in the game Gukesh found the most convincing refutation, playing the move of bishop takes b4. The idea of this seemingly random sacrifice to the bishop is that we're clearing the way for queen to g2, and black has this question of how to deal with rook g8 mates. If you play a move like queen b8, well, it covers rook g8, but white can just play rook g7, and how are you going to defend against rook h7 and checkmate next move? There's not really an answer. So black ends up playing queen e4, but by this point the game's pretty much over after white's move of e7. Note ef7 isn't winning because black does have the move of rook g6 to stop the rook g8 mate idea. So it's very important that white plays e7 as Gukesh did. The point being after the rook moves, you go rook g8. And with this little combination, you basically end up with a winning endgame, where you have the queen against the rook and the bishop. And the rook and bishop haven't really coordinated, and you do have a nice material advantage to work with here. Note, by the way, you can't really take on e3 because there is a fork to win the bishop, as it were. So the game ultimately ended rook g1, rook g2, bishop e6, and yeah, the rest is just a matter of technique, with Gukesh just hoovering all of the pawns with tempo. Rook e2, take, and yeah, there's nothing black can do here. He's already going to lose the rook one way or the other on the next move to a fork, or give up the bishop with c5. But yeah, whatever the case, yeah, black is losing material, and therefore Sargissian resigned, giving Gukesh the win. The rest of the video is a little bit delayed, but yeah, I just had some technical problems, sorry, like the third time, creating it as such. But still quite a nice game, I think, for showing, like, if someone asked what is Gukesh's style, I think this game is a pretty concise answer, and of course, this game was played nearly 2 years ago. Of course, Gukesh's players matured and improved line quality even since then. But it shows like his natural sort of style in terms of the positions he likes and yeah, the way in which he wins his chess games typically. Do let me know in the comments below what was your favorite move of this game, or something else that maybe made an impression on you. Let me know that in the comments below, and I'm still accepting a couple more private students, so if that's something that interests you, just use the link in the description, either to email me or to message me directly. Either way works. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this training. Like I said, this will be part of a longer series. I was thinking previously to even turn into some sort of like paid course, but eventually I figured, it's easier just to share it for you guys for free. So, whatever your financial situation may be, like you can still learn something from Gukesh's games, and we can share our love of chess together as such. Anyway, on that note, I will see you all in the next training video, which will probably be the next 1 to 2 days. Yeah, until then, take care.